Okay, so today we're going to be going over Ansible inventories and YAML. Does someone want to start us off and read these two paragraphs, please?
Got it. All right. As we learned yesterday, Ansible is an open source software platform for automating and configuring IT infrastructure. It uses simple, human readable languages to describe IT resources and configurations, allowing administrators to automate and manage tasks such as provisioning, configuration management, deployment, and orchestration. As we dive into Ansible, one of the first steps is to get comfortable with YAML. YAML is yet another markup language. It's a simple human readable data serialization format that Ansible uses to define configurations, playbooks, and inventories.
Yep. You'll see YAML files across the board, pretty much anywhere, any company you go to. It's very, very, very common file format, and it's used quite a bit. So today we'll be teaching about that, and I think you guys did a little bit of inventories Monday, was it?
Yeah,
Day one. Okay,
it didn't
cool.
really make much sense to me. I don't, and think there's somewhat of a consensus on that, maybe.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, maybe I could help answer some of those questions today. But yeah, so what are we trying to accomplish? Since Ansible uses YAML, YAML ain't markup language. Love the naming. We can better be prepared to write Ansible configurations by learning a bit more about YAML. YAML is designed to be readable and structured. YAML YAML's clean and straightforward syntax makes it easy to read and write, such as crucial managing complex configurations. It also organizes data hierarchy, which aligns well with the structure of Ansible playbooks and inventories. Cool. So without further ado, let's jump into YAML. So as I already stated, it stands for yet another markup language. So YAML is a human readable markup language. It is often used for configuration files as it is structured enough for program to interact, easy for humans to read, relatively easy for humans to write. That's very YAML is very easy to read. It's also very easy to write. It's why it's super popular. But it is mostly used for configurations for various reasons. So Ansible is one technology which heavily uses YAML for its configuration files. Okay, so YAML basics. There is this Red Hat article out there for like a deeper dive into from YAML. But it feel free to read it if you want. However, YAML is a pretty basic file. You can either use the .ym or .yml format or the just spelling out the whole YAML extension. They do the same thing. There's no difference between them. Everyone will know what you're doing here. But it's just primarily composed of like key value pairs, like dictionaries in Python. If you're familiar with the Python programming language, or like the like hash maps, if you're familiar with other languages. But yeah, there's pretty much two main concepts to it. You either have a key value like this. This is the key, and it correlates the value. And then it's always separated by a colon. There's also a list, which are just dashes. So you can put whatever you want in a list and whatever you want in an object. That's pretty much the solid foundation of what a YAML file is and how it's composed. You could do a comment. So if you just want to write, I don't know, like a message to other developers or like a hint or some description, but you don't want the code to compile or anything like that, you just do a little hash map, and then or I'm sorry, a little number sign or however. There's like five different names for these, but anyways, this symbol right here is used for your comments. So here is what like a basic just a bare bones kind of YAML file looks like. It always starts off with these three dashes, just so you know it's a YAML file. Got a simple comment and then name. So you have a key value pair. So this would be an object, right? And then you have a list right here, a list in I don't know. It's called multiple things in various different programming languages. But it just so I guess if I show you in JSON format, which is like a different format that I guess we really haven't covered, but it's also another very popular form. It's really just used for like web development, JSON objects. But this would be a list right here. It's always going to be in the square brackets, and that's pretty common amongst most programming languages for a list or an array if you're familiar with JavaScript. But yeah, so this is pretty much it. So you can see hobbies. You have multiple hobbies, so you want to put them in a list, and you have painting, playing music, cooking. Uh, you have programming languages, Java, and then you have like their skill of intermediate, Python. That's why they're in, key value pairs, because they have a correlation. And then vegetables in a list, fruits in a list. But then you have multiple fruits, so you want to put them in a list, and so on. I'm sorry, not a list, but in an object because they have key value pairs. Citrus, oranges, tropical bananas, nuts, peanuts, sweets, raisins. Anyone have any questions so far on like the format of like a YAML file?
I have one quick question. So based off this, it's not just one word, like the value doesn't have to be one word. It could be like a sentence, essentially.
Yeah, you can't
Right.
have
So,
spaces. Yeah, you could either have like dashes or like an underscore. But yeah, you can't be a space.
so like for name, I see a space there for Martin D developer,
Oh
I
no,
guess.
that's for the value. Yeah. So these actually need to be in like quotes. I think this is actually like incorrectly typed up. This would be like of type string. And so this would actually need to be in like double quotes. So that's actually like a typo error. So that'll have to get fixed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Good call out there though.
so does YAML differentiate from double and single quotes?
Mikkel, yeah, sorry, I can't hear a word you're saying. Maybe you have a mic on your head or something.
Does YAML differentiate from double and single quotes?
No, no, you could do single quotes or double. Well, good question. I'm not exactly 100% sure. I want to say it doesn't, like most programming languages don't. Um, but yeah, good question. I'll get back to you on that. Um, Actually, we could just look that up right now to ChatGPT. I spelled that wrong. So I guess there is some differences. Okay. So special characters, uh, string. Okay. So it looks like they just have to match up, but you're able to use both as well. But there really is not a big difference of them. But it is saying single quotes are more literal, and double quotes allow escape sequences like a new line character, a tab, or a backslash.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, but you can use them both as for like strings and stuff. Good question though. But yeah, so this is pretty much the above YAML file into JSON format, which is a commonly used object amongst programming. Like usually when you do like an API request, it would get like a JSON object back, and then you'll iterate over it to do whatever kind of manipulation or whatever you need. And yeah, this is like a big benefit of having a YAML file is it's just clean, it's easy. Um, it's just a good way to hold your configurations. Say if you had like a I don't know, some kind of class program, and you need to hold some kind of data about different students, their name, age, hobbies, I don't know, sports classes, whatever you need. A YAML file structure would suffice that very nicely and make it just easy to iterate over and do whatever you need to. So if you want, you can install the PyYAML Python module. Um, and it will, I believe it does take a JSON and transforms it into to YAML file or vice versa. I don't have too much experience with this with PyYAML module at all. But you feel free to check it out and play with it. It's not required or necessary at all. I don't think you'll need it for any of the rest of the curriculum. But yeah, if you're feeling froggy and want to dive into, I don't know, another Python module, then PyYAML is It's another one that's tossed around quite a bit. Cool. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions on YAML?
One quick question. So I'm still a bit confused. Why would we need a YAML file? Like, is it supposed to replace Ansible, or is that
No, no,
just
no, no.
another type of?
No, no,
Okay,
no. So YAML isn't even a programming language or anything. It's literally just a file where you store configurations in. And then you use those, use that format, in order, it's just a file format really that Ansible uses. Ansible is like the actual, software running behind the scenes. And YAML is the format that it uses.
okay, got it.
So yeah, yeah, you're just learning how to actually format stuff here.
Is
But go ahead.
Okay.
is YAML only used in Ansible, or is YAML used in other?
No, 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 no. So YAML is used everywhere. You can use it with any programming language. You can use it with any kind of shell script. It's just a solid, file extension to use for storing configurations in. So you can put anything in a YAML file, right? Well, not anything, but like, any like booleans, strings, objects, lists, etc. Um, and just be able to iterate over it, pretty easily. And it's just a super clean looking format too, right? Like how easy is this to read? Like anyone can figure out that, JavaScript is beginner, or, this Martin guy has three hobbies of painting, playing music, and cooking.
Okay, and can I forget the name of these, but like Ubuntu, Amazon Linux, all those distributions, right? Can all those distributions inherently read YAML files? Is it already built in? So whatever
Uh,
you use is going to be able to read.
Yeah, no, I mean, and yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure everything can access the YAML file. Yeah, YAML is a very basic, like everything can use the YAML kind of thing. I'm sure there are use cases where maybe you have to like install, like an extension, or some kind of, dependency to iterate over YAML or something. But most things are built in with it.
Okay, thanks.
So,
So,
what's PyYAML then? I hear,
PyYAML?
I grab everything you're saying here, and you're like PyYAML, and I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know. This is just thrown in. It's just a Python, module that's very public. It
get more
is
pretty.
pretty popular, but
Okay,
I think it's yeah, I think it's based, to either help you do something with your YAML file, or convert it into JSON, or JSON into YAML file. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not familiar with this dependency at all. I know we don't use it in the cohort at all, so I'm not sure why it was referenced here.
okay, then
Um,
never mind.
yeah, no, I just think it's like maybe a nice to know thing. That just another thing to look into if you're bored. But it's definitely not, a headline.
so basically, YAML is a more human readable JSON.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's so it's just another, file format, but it's JSON's used for usually holding all of your, like API data. It's just an object that you get back from API calls typically. Versus YAML is where you would store like configurations. So say you have like a class, like here's a good example. Say you have a class of like, I don't know, 50 students, and each student has some different stuff. Like each person is unique. You would have YAML files, with all their data over it, right? And then you would have like a Python script to do, I don't know, whatever you want to have iterate over the YAML files, and then you would have, all your student data there. Um, and you can manipulate it whatever way. But YAML's not that complicated. It's pretty easy to read. And it's very highly used. It's just for storing configurations. It is like the main purpose of it. So you're not doing any kind of like programming in YAML. I don't even know if I don't think you can. It's just for storing, configuration files. That's it. Like there's no for loops or anything like that, anything crazy in it. Like you can do like string interpolation in YAML, but for this matter, we won't need to get into that. Okay. Anything else for YAML?
I have one last question. I know yesterday we talked about playbooks. Is this where the YAML file comes into play?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So like the inventory isn't a YAML file. You could just have anything in it, really. But it's the playbook that is a YAML format.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I wish I would have taught playbooks today because that goes really well with the inventory. But yeah. Anyways, cool. So let's just go into a little bit of Ansible. So how Ansible works. Does someone actually want to read this top section for me?
YAML is a human readable markup language. Oh, nope. I'm on the wrong. Hey, never mind. I'm on the wrong thing. Right thing. YAML is a human readable markup language. It is often used for configuration files as it is structured enough for a program to interpret easy for
Uh,
humans to read. Am I on the right
Len, are
page?
you using the right or reading the right one?
Nope, because I was reading the GitHub from my screen, not yours.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I will now. How Ansible works. Man, it's a much better thing to think about than YAML. Ansible uses a push-based architecture. It pushes changes to the node it is managing rather than requiring an agent to be installed on those nodes. It supports multiple operating systems, including Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. It can be used to manage a variety of systems, including servers, networks, devices, and cloud resources. Additionally, Ansible provides a large number of pre-built modules that can be used to perform common IT tasks, as well as flexible and extensible frameworks for writing custom modules. Basic working diagram, and then
Oh, I can get into that.
okay,
No,
cool.
yeah. Thanks, Len. Yeah. So the big thing about Ansible is I'm not sure if this was explained yesterday or not. I didn't even look at day one, but we're on day two. But anyway, so the big thing about Ansible to know is like, so let's say you have like 50 EC2 instances, right? And they all need like different dependencies, and like some of them are sharing stuff, other stuff, and whatever. You have to manage all these nodes or hosts, and it becomes extremely difficult and takes a long time to do all that, right? If you had to do like each one individually. So what Ansible came up with is you just make one master node and connect it to like all these children nodes, and you can have what's called an inventory file. And you get to place all these different like nodes in like groups, or you could have them all, and then you could just run like one simple command out of like a run book that you went over yesterday, and it would do it to whatever like group or node you specify. And so that makes it so much quicker than having to do it like one by one. Does that make sense? Kind of what Ansible is made for? Cool. Awesome. Yeah, there are other main players in the field besides Ansible. I think there's like Chef and like Puppet. But Ansible is like by far the easiest one to pick up and just start getting to run with. And I just think it's the best option anyways. Ansible is highly used amongst the industry as well if you're doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, as I said, you're going to have a control node. This is the machine where Ansible is installed and where the playbooks are executed. So in other words, the control node, the master node, the head node, just think about this one as like the head honcho, the boss. And then you have managed nodes or worker nodes or like children nodes. That like the terms are kind of interchanged in the industry, but these are going to be the remote servers that Ansible is managing and automating. So like everything below it. So like there's only going to be one of these, right? Well, I guess you could have multiple of them, but in this case, you're only going to have one. And then managed nodes, you're going to have many, right? Ansible doesn't have to be installed on the managed nodes. It only has to be installed on the control node. This is where your playbook's going to live. This is where your inventory is going to live. And then it'll tell exactly what to do on all of the children nodes or the managed nodes below. So playbooks, I believe you learned about that a little bit yesterday. This is a YAML-based file that defines the desired state of the system and tasks to be executed on the managed nodes. I think that's something I'm going to bring up to Julius to see if we can change up the ordering of this, to see if we can put YAML in yesterday's lesson and then
Yeah,
teach.
I wouldn't say that we learned about playbooks yesterday. I would say we learned about how to make a Docker image.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we Dockerized Terraform, and then after Dockerizing Terraform, we used our Terraform Docker image to attempt to make an EC2 that has a Dockerized Ansible image that runs some stuff, and I literally mean that much detail, runs some stuff. And
Mhm.
so I'm liking what you're talking about here
Got you.
way more for part one.
Got you. Okay, okay. All right, all right. Yeah, I just quickly glanced at this stuff. Yeah, maybe I'm just like misspeaking a little bit. It looks like Thursday, we looks like you go more into Ansible playbooks, which is awesome. That'll be a fun one. You actually got to do some stuff on the host. But yeah, anyways, so modules. Pretty much like what you would expect, like a Python module to be. These are small reusable scripts that perform specific tasks such as installing packages, managing files, etc. There are thousands of modules, right? There's modules for just about anything you want. The biggest, like the module that we're going to be using today is the ping module, which allows you to send traffic between just send a basic ping traffic, like a ping pong, back between the hosts. And we'll do that here in a little bit. But there's loads of different modules that are built in, and then you can also install. So SSH, everyone knows about SSH. We've been over it, we've used it. But anyways, Ansible connects to the managed nodes over SSH to execute the modules. So one thing to do know is on the control node, we will need the private key pair, and we'll plug that into the Ansible inventory. So, we're able to SSH into the children node. So I don't know, maybe all of these managed nodes have different private keys. So we'll have to have those within the control node and, dictate them to pair them with the correct node and so forth. Does anyone have any questions on this? I don't want to lose anyone, so please keep asking questions. Cool. If no questions, I'm just going to assume all of you know everything I just said. So that's great. Cool. So benefits of using Ansible. It's easy to learn, free to use. Ansible uses simple human readable language, YAML. We went over that earlier. For writing playbooks, making it easy for developers with little or no automation experience starting to use. Agentlet architecture. Ansible does not require any agent software to be installed on the managed nodes, making it easier to manage large dispersed environments. It uses SSH to connect to the managed nodes and execute tasks, which is great because typically your EC2 instances will already have SSH enabled or allow traffic, unless you're doing some stuff where you would like it more locked down and secure. But anyways, it's got a large community ecosystem. It is a publicly attributed kind of module, so it's publicly supported and documentation on it's great. But anyways, Ansible has a large and active community, which means it has a wealth of resources, plugins, and support. Multi-platform support. Ansible can be used to manage a wide range of operating systems, include Linux, Unix, Windows, making it a versatile tool, right? You can pretty much use it on any machine everywhere, which is pretty great. There's not a whole lot of restrictions on it. Improved efficiency and reliability by automating routine tasks. Ansible can help reduce errors, speed up deployments, and improve the efficiency and reliability of the IT processes, freeing up time for more strategic work. That kind of goes with the example I gave where you had like 50 or 100 different, EC2 instances, and you had to like install dependencies on each one. And so this is a great option for doing so. So here's some terminology, common terms in Ansible. Inventory, that's a big one that we're going to be going over. It's just a list of hosts that Ansible will manage, including their IP addresses and some other information required to connect to them. So this is where you store like your SSH file, your like the user type on the host itself, and the IP of the node itself, and what there's a bunch of stuff you could add to it. This is just it's the one we're going to be going over today. Playbook sounds like you'll be going more over on Thursday, but it is a YAML file. And it pretty much just defines a set of tasks to be performed on the group of hosts or all of the hosts or a single host. It's the actual action that you're wanting to do. The task is a so okay, so there's a playbook that holds all of your tasks, right? And so tasks are more of a singular option. So a single action can be performed on a host of installing a package or copying a file. So you're going to have multiple tasks, or hell, even a single task within a playbook. Playbook just holds it all. It's just the file. The task is the actual action within the playbook, within the YAML file that you'll see. Module. We kind of went over that earlier with like the ping module, but it's a unit of code that implements a specific task, such as installing packages or copying a file. Ansible ships with a large number of pre-built modules. That is good for us, right? We don't have to install a whole bunch. We actually don't with the ping module. That I'll show you here in a minute. It's just already caked in. So module is a good one to know. A role, it's a collection of tasks, files, or other resources that can be used to perform a specific function, such as installing a web server. Variable, that word should sound familiar by now. A named value that can be used to store data, such as IP addresses or a host or the version of software package. A fact is information gathered about a host, such as its operating system or available memory. Ansible uses facts to make decisions about what tasks it's going to run. So you could use fast as as a like a conditional. You could use it as that to check, like if host is, I don't know, has an IP range in this certain set or whatever, do whatever. But anyways, so a play is a set of tasks, right? So remember, we have a playbook, a single, like that's the file. We have a single task, which you could have multiple in a playbook, and then you could have a play, which you could have multiple tasks within the play and multiple plays within the playbook. So it's a set of tasks to be formed on a group of hosts, often organized into roles. There's also a task list, which is a list of tasks to be formed in a specific order. In case you don't want them like out of order and like ad hoc or whatever, you can make a priority kind of list of them of your tasks. And then there's ad hoc commands, a one-time command that can be run against a group of hosts performing a specific task, such as pinging. This is the module that we'll be using today, pinging all the hosts to check connectivity, right? A ping it sends traffic from one node to another node and gets it back. And it just shows you a little bit of detail about that to make sure that your connection between the host is solid. I know that's kind of a lot of terms to go through, but I promise once you start diving in and doing some commands with Ansible and doing some stuff on the nodes, that this stuff will come like secondhand. It's Ansible's not the toughest thing in the world. It can be confusing at first, but it should be a pretty quick one to pick up. Okay, let me bring over my terminal. Looks like we're getting into actually the fun stuff. Yeah, let me do this.
While you're bringing that over, I'm just going to advocate. This should have been yesterday's lesson. I mean, I get the Terraform part at the very beginning. This feels way more logical than what Julius talked about yesterday. And I don't know if it's just got like order of operations, like this round for Charlie Platoon. You guys are strapped and best you can. Don't get me wrong. Then it's amazing. At the same time, for me, this today makes way more sense than yesterday as a logical introduction to Ansible.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I haven't really looked at yesterday's lesson, but yeah, no, I'll note that and I'll
Anybody
bring it
else?
up.
I mean, I'm just wondering, does anybody else feel the same way or not? I could be a
I
little
agree. I agree with that.
Definitely. Okay, no, that's great to know, and please add that kind of comments to the daily feedback forms because I guarantee you right now that we do read them all, and kind of like a just fire based on it too. So those are great. But yeah, anyways, so I just have some basic Terraform. Oops, cat. Some basic Terraform, and I'm just creating a security group that allows SSH traffic, right? The port 22 traffic. So we can SSH into the nodes. And then I've got a variable with a list of 3 strings in it. I got a web, a database, and a master node, right? These are going to be used for, I'm going to iterate over within a for each, within a resource block, right? I just want to create X amount of instances, right? I just want to create 3 instances. I want 2 children node of a web and DB, and then I want a master node to control them with. And I'm just iterating over them with the for each, and I'm making it a set, right? Because I don't want a list. I can only do a set and an object in the for each function, and then passing it the instance names. Right. And so I'm also passing it the security group, right? Because I want to be able to SSH into all of them. I'm just going to use the same security group for all 3 of the instances that I want to create. And then my key name, that's going to be my key pair. So I'm just using Preston's because I don't know, he gave it to me. But yeah, that's going to be your private key that you save, and it's like with a .pen file extension on it that we're able to use to SSH into the instance. I believe this is an Ubuntu AMI. It's an image. You feel free to use the Amazon Linux image as well. I don't know. I just chose Ubuntu. And then we're gonna do T2 micro, and then remember the each.key function, since we're doing a for each.key, it's iterating through this list right here. And so it's going to be web and then database and then master node. Am I going too fast, guys, or is that fine?
I got a question.
Yes, shoot.
Could you explain how we are using Terraform with Ansible? Like, what is Ansible not doing that Terraform is allowing us to do? And could you use Ansible without Terraform?
Yeah, great question. You absolutely can use Ansible without Terraform. Ansible is just about automating the EC2 instances or the hosts or the nodes, whatever you want to call them. Those EC2 instances it's just automating all of them, or Singularity, versus Terraform is actually creating any kind of cloud resources, right? Ansible is not going to be able to create an EC2 instance or a security group or any of that. However, if you do it manually in the console, like if you just go to the console and like create an instance or whatever, then you use Ansible to, I don't know, to manage all of your instances, all of your servers.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 complete different functions. Terraform just used to create and destroy and update the resources itself. Ansible is used to, I guess, disperse tasks amongst all of the servers or a group of servers.
So I have a question, Reno. Is Ansible just for managing instances at scale? Like if you have a lot, that's when Ansible comes in, but if you just have
Yeah,
1 or 2, you don't really need it.
no, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you don't need I would actually argue against using Ansible. If you only have like 1 or 2 nodes, that doesn't really make sense. You might as well just use Terraform and use like a provisioner block. I think you guys learned about that in a part of the metadata Terraform section that we had. But yeah, you're able to do whatever you want. I don't know, say if you want to just install a dependency, you use like a provisioner block. Um, and I don't know, have it do like a sudo apt install yum or whatever you want on it. But if you have it at scale, it's just, and you have a bunch of different groups of instances that all have kind of different variations. It's just easy to do it with Ansible. So the larger scale you get, I would say Ansible is a better option than trying to do it with just Terraform. Cool. Yeah. Any questions on the Terraform setup? This is just I don't know, just me just trying to give you a little extra tidbit on Terraform versus just like creating it manually. So I just think this is all good stuff to just kind of hammer down on. I think Terraform is probably like top 3, one of the most useful things of this cohort. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. But
What are the other 2 things?
sorry, what's that?
What are the other 2 things?
I would say the AWS cloud, the console itself. That's hands down super valuable. That's a very marketable skill, as well as Kubernetes, or you can refer to it as K8s. We haven't covered that, but we do spend like 3 weeks on just Kubernetes in general because it's kind of a monster. But those are my top three picks. I don't know, Julius or Chandra or Preston might have others, but those are what I recommend hammering down on the most.
One, I guess, off-topic question. Are there any tools that you don't see are being taught in this cohort that would be very valuable?
Yeah, any programming language, Python, Java, JavaScript, C Sharp. Yeah, those are yeah. We don't really teach programming language in this cohort per se, but I think you're gonna need one at the end of the day.
But besides programming languages, like any other tools, I keep seeing Jenkins on like
So yeah, Jenkins is like a
JavaScript.
built-in like deployment kind of tool. It's a popular one. I use that when I worked at JP Morgan Chase as a full stack engineer. But I don't know. Now I work at Oracle and we have our own deployment process and like we have all of our own in-house built tools. But yeah, I mean that's a good one to learn if you want. Um, there's also if you want to learn more about like logging or like different databases, it all really just depends on what kind of career path you're going for. If you're going more DevOps, full stack, cloud engineering, like site reliability engineering, like sysadmin, you know, then hammer down on those specific kind of skills. Um, but there's not like a one skill I can say like learn this and it'll get you a job. It really depends on what path you kind of want to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to ping me offline, we can chat more about like what path you're thinking about going down, what interests you, and maybe I'll have some ideas to shoot at you. That goes for anyone. Anyone's free to, slack me offline if you want to chat with literally anything like career progression or getting into the field or different field paths or anything. I'm always willing and happy to talk with you about it. Okay, cool. So one last chance. Any more questions on this Terraform code? What's going on with the one security group and then 3 instances that we're creating? Perfect. Okay, cool. So we'll just do a Terraform apply dash auto and then approve. Oh, I spelled auto wrong. Did I? Yeah, I did. I spelled it with a 0. Shame on me. Cool. So let's take a minute to actually provision. So does anyone have any questions about anything else? Anything in general? Okay, I guess we can go into it's probably just easier if I show you, but here's some simple command options when we actually get in and install Ansible on the master host. You have this dash O, which is just stands for like output. And so you can either like output it in YAML or output it in one line. But it is the dash O. It is pretty common. There's the dash A, which just stands for just arguments. You can put a bunch of stuff in there, like key value formats and some other arguments. You don't really need to know that one right now. This one you do, the dash M. This stands for the module, right? We're going to be using the ping module. So just do like dash M and then ping module. And so that one is we'll be using that quite a bit. And then there is this I've never used this one, but it's the become method. It's a privilege escalation method to be used. Default sudo. Okay, so default of your sudo user, super user do. Use Ansible doc dash T. I don't know, this looks confusing. But anyways, you'll probably never ever have to use that. The only ones that you'll actually probably use are the output and then the module. So those are the two big keepaways. But it looks like our hosts were created. So let's go and SSH into it. What did I do that on? I did it on, let's see. Yeah, right here, US+1. Cool. So we have our master node. It is running. Let's go and connect to it. So let me move that out of the way. Okay. And I've already chmodded it. That just gives you permissions for the AWS key. So let's go ahead and copy this command, and we'll be able to SSH into our master node. And do yes. It's the first time logging into the host. Cool. So we have successfully got on our host. If I do like an ls, there shouldn't be anything there. It is completely empty. So the first thing that we'll need to do is install Ansible on the master node. It is the only node that we'll have to install it on. So that's great. So I'm on an Ubuntu server, so I'm going to do a sudo apt. Let's do a sudo apt update first. Make sure all the packages are available to us. Maybe, if you try to just run Ansible for like the first thing without updating it first, you might be out of date and not even be able to find that dependency to be able to install it. So it's always good to oftenly update your package manager as much as possible. Anyways, so we've updated it. So let's go to sudo, what is it? Apt install and then Ansible. That should be it. Yes. Shouldn't take too much longer. I didn't think it was going to take this long. I thought it'd be quicker, but sometimes it's like that. All right, cool. Looks like Ansible is successfully installed. Let's just double check. We just run Ansible and then -- version. You can run the -- version of pretty much any package and it'll show you if it's installed or not, or well, really just the version. But if that comes back true, then we know we have successfully installed the Ansible dependency. So this is very good. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually, I need to bring over a key value pair, like my private key value pair, my Preston key.aws.pen. And so for this, I'm actually just going to copy it and paste it into a file. I'll show you how I'm going to make the file. I'll just do a VI. Oops. I use the Vim editor, so I just use the VI and then Preston-key-aws.pen. Okay. And it'll take me to this, and then I'll hit I for insert mode, right? You're able to do anything. But for this, I'm actually just going to stop sharing the screen real quick and copy over my key pair, just because it'll be on YouTube later. So I don't want random people to see it. Anyways, so I've added it. Now let me go and share my screen again. Cool, there we go. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, cool. Yep, I hit ls and you can see my key is now successfully here. So if you're following along, is anyone following along? Just out of curiosity. Might be a little difficult since I use like the Terraform file. But I could slack that out to the class later today. There's no secret, right? I'm not trying to hide anything or gatekeep any Terraform. So if you guys would like that, I'm more than happy to share that with you for you guys to spin up some instances. Okay, cool. So now let's actually get into the inventory section, right? So let's just create, let's just do a touch inventory.ini. You don't have to do an ini. It actually doesn't even need a file extension, but I don't know. I think ini is just like a standard. So we'll just go ahead and use that. So we've created it, and now let's just go vi inventory, and I'll tab it out, and let's go add some stuff, right? So this is where you're going to keep you're going to pretty much make groups of your servers, or however you want to do it. So I remember we made a web server and we made a database server, right? And like a master server, right? But like we're already SSH into the master node right now. So let's just go ahead and oops, one sec, I didn't hit I. So let's go ahead and make, we'll just do this in a list. It's always going to be in list. That's just kind of what you're going to be calling it. It's like the name of your grouping. And so let's just call this web servers. Okay. And then under it, you're going to name your server. So I don't know, let's just say, I don't know, web one. And then you have to put like the IP of the host. Yeah, Flo, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to ask earlier, you did a touch inventory dot init. Was there a reason that you didn't just use Vim directly?
No, I was wondering if someone was going to call me out on that. No, I was just showing different command lines to different ways of doing stuff. But yeah, the VI does create the file itself for you. And Touch just creates it. So I don't know. I was just using like a variety of different stuff I like to work in the terminal instead of like using VS Code unless I'm working on like a big scale project. So I think it's a super valuable tool. So the better you get with the terminal, I feel like the better you're going to be. I don't know. I'm just trying to show you a little bit more here and there.
All right, thank you.
But you're correct. Yeah, usually I would just do a VI and then it would create it and automatically bring me into like the Vim editor for the file. Yeah, anyways, so we're just gonna name it, right? Just a web one. This is gonna be our first one. And then we need our IP of the host, right? So and that's gonna be dictated by Ansible underscore host. And then we're gonna just do an equal sign, right? So now this is the part where we go to the AWS console and we go see our host. So here's my web one. That's the one I deleted earlier for testing. Anyways, so we're going to go to our web host and we're going to select the public IPv4 address. We're just going to copy and we're going to paste it right here. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we have to name a user. So this is going to be like the default user. Actually, you know what? I got a better way of doing that I'll show you guys later. But anyways, so that's pretty much it for web servers. Right, but we also did one for a database. So let's do DB servers. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing, and let's call this DB1, and we need a host, right? So we need let's call it Ansible host, and then equals, and let's go grab that host IP. Here is our database host, and let's copy that and put it in there. Cool. So now we have two groups, right? So obviously if I had like a bunch of web servers, I would put them in here. I would just do it on a new line, do like web 2 and then, web 3, etc. and all their goodies and however else, whatever configurations are needed for that. But this is kind of how you group them. Another way to do it is you can declare an all. So if you use all, it's kind of all by default, but I'll show you that here in a sec. But say they all kind of share something similar and need some variables, right? So I would just do all, and then I would say vars, right? So this would apply to all of my groups and all of the servers and everything I could put in here, right? So this, I know they're sharing the same SSH key pair, right? So this would be a great opportunity to actually to put that there, right? They're all share the same. Like, why have duplication of each thing? Like, as software engineers, we should always cut down on the duplication. So anyways, let's go. So to do that, you need a key of Ansible SSH private key and file. And then we're going to put that equal to the path of our private key. So mine's in this home root, in the home directory. So I'll just do a /. Well, it's in my current working directory. So I'm going to do a /. And then I will pass it the file name, which is Preston key-aws.pem, right? However, there is one more step that we need to do. You need to say what user is using the host. And so there are default users amongst hosts. So if you're using Amazon Linux instances, like the image on the EC2 itself, then I believe you're going to be, it's called like EC2-user. However, I'm on an Ubuntu host. So what I need to do is Ansible underscore user equals Ubuntu. And that'll just tell Ansible what user to be able to use. Yeah, Julio.
How do you know what's required? Like, are you looking at documentation to know that, you require a user? Uh, yeah, I'm so kind of confused as where you would
Uh,
find what's needed.
so this is yeah, I guess documentation would be really good, but this is all everything that I'm putting here is all required. You can do it in different formats. Like if you wanted to put them all on the same line, like if I wanted to put like Ansible user right here, then I absolutely could and do it that way. However, they're all sharing, so I was just showing like a different variation of using like variables in Ansible to be able to share amongst all of them. However, so in Ansible, right, like we're on the control node. Right now we're dictating all the children node. You have to list out all the children node in whatever group you want. Like, so I can name web servers to whatever I want. I can name it, I don't know, like Reno 1 and Reno 2, or like Flo and Mikkel. And then put whatever servers they own under that, and that's totally fine. Right here, I'm just creating variables that will get applied. So each one of these will get applied to every one of them. Right? Like if I wanted to have like a database servers variables, I would say database servers, like I would create another one of these, just like this, just with the colon and then vars. And then that would apply, like whatever I put in it would apply only to the database servers group. Does that make sense? Hopefully I'm explaining it understandably. Okay, cool. But yeah, this is all required stuff, right? Like we're outlining all of the hosts, the children node on here, and we're passing it the SSH key and the Ansible user that will be on the host itself. So I'm using an Ubuntu server, so the user is going to be an Ubuntu type. If I had an Amazon Linux image, then it would be an EC2 user, and that's just something you'll have to look up in documentation, right? There's really no need in memorizing like the hundreds of different Ansible users that are available per different image, right? I just know this from experience, just Ubuntu user for Ubuntu servers. Easy enough, right? So this is all cool, right? We've named your host. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and exit, and I'm going to so escape and then colon and then WQ to save and quit this file, since now we have our inventory set. Okay, so you may ask, like, okay, how do we actually use Ansible? So we've created our inventory file. We have our key value pair. What do we do now? How can we actually do stuff? So let's show you. So to run Ansible commands, you do Ansible, and then you can name whatever, I don't know, whatever group you want to work on. So I want to work on the web servers group, right? And then what module do I want to use on them? I want to use the -m stands for module, and then I want to use the ping module. Okay, great. Now I just need to tell Ansible what my inventory file is, right? So you have to do this in every command. I think there's a bypass that puts it in default, but I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I'd have to chat GPT to look it up. But there is a way to make that like a default. But anyway, so I use the -i and point it towards my inventory.ini file. Cool. So does anyone have any questions on this command before I show you what it actually does? Cool. So let's hit enter and hopefully it all works. So just hit yes because it's a unreachable. Failed to connect to the host via permanently added. Oh, you know what? I think I might have to actually chmod 400 and then the file. So let's try that and hopefully it works. Cool. So as you can see, we're able to ping our web1 server, which, right, like we're in our master server and we're able to ping through Ansible using the module ping and hit the web server. So let's go ahead and see if that works for our, what do we call it? Like database server, I think, DB servers. And we'll add that because it's a non-known host. Cool. And we're able to see them. But what happens if I want to hit all my groups, right? I want to hit all my nodes. Too easy. So instead of calling an actual group, you just say all. And as you can see, we have our two servers right here, and we're able to ping them. So this is pretty much how you connect and establish like a hierarchy of like your master node and your children node. That's all the inventory is doing, is just setting up that connection and being able to set up your hierarchy of your master node and your children nodes. And your groupings, like logical groupings of how you want to disperse your actual nodes. Does anyone have questions on that so far? So, right, we're using the -m for the module, and we're just calling the ping module, and -i is just shorthand for inventory. There is a way how to default that. I don't know it off the top of my head, but just know you always have to input that. And also call the Ansible, and then call whatever group that you would like to do whatever action you want to do on. Questions? Everyone understanding this pretty great? Cool. Okay. Let's see what this actually has. So, understanding the basics of inventory. We already went over that. Went over that. Oh, we actually did all this. So there is this. Here's the output. Let's just do that. And then -o, I believe. As you can see, it just changed up the format into a single line. So instead of like giving back an object, it gives it back as a single line. So that's kind of cool. There's also this, if you get like errors and warnings and stuff, you could also edit this Ansible config. I'm not sure if it's on Ubuntu. We might actually have to create it. Yeah, it's not even on Ubuntu, but you would create this Ansible.config file, and then you're able to add some other stuff in there, like you do interpreter Python auto silence. I'm not actually getting any warnings, so it wouldn't even show you any kind of changes on this. But I think if you do like an Amazon Linux, then it'll show you some like warnings of like Python interpreters, something like super annoying. But you would just create this file, ansible.config, and you would just add this default interpreter and then auto silent. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Here's another one. You do like -a uptime. So let's try that. Ansible web servers -a, and then uptime. This will just tell you like how long your servers have actually been up. There's no, oh, sorry. Yeah, I have to pass the inventory. So -i, and then inventory.ini. And then it just says the uptime. So it's been up 19 minutes, one user, and then load average. So that's pretty cool. You can also do like shell commands with it. So let's just go ahead and copy this one, and we'll make the necessary changes. So let's see. We got Ansible, and then web servers, which is correct. -i inventory minus .ini, and then we're using the module shell, and we're passing it systemctl status sshd. And so just a shell, just a regular terminal command, a systemctl command, and it gives you out all the output of whatever that command. So you could use that for, I don't know, whatever various reasons. But typically you would have, this is going to be taught more in depth like Thursday, but this is where like the playbook side of the house come in, and all the tasks that you outline in like a YAML file, and then execute that playbook and task to go do whatever you want on the host, like all the hosts, and it makes it like stupid quick, right? So that's all super cool stuff. Here's some more like shell examples. We don't really need to get into it. I think this is enough enough shell command. You can run any shell command you want, right? You can install packages or whatever you want. Yeah, here's some more shell commands, but it's just giving you a good idea of when you can do all this. But to be honest, it's possible here, but like I said, you would go and do it in like a playbook and like make a task in like a YAML format for it. Yeah, does anyone have any questions on the inventory or how to set any of this up, or I don't know, anything in general?
Yeah, Reno, I am trying to launch several applications that we've launched here with my YAML file from my master node. So if you could help me troubleshoot that, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. You just trying to. Oh, okay. So you have an application and you want to put it on all of your children nodes?
I have three applications and I wanted to put them on one of each three children node that I have. Yeah. I keep getting weird errors with my script saying like you're using a Debian AMI, I mean a Debian image, and that's not true. Like I'm using the Linux one. I'm just getting some really funny stuff, but I'm
Okay.
kind of
Yeah,
making
we can.
progress. But yeah.
Yeah, we can take this offline and hop in a breakout room
Okay.
and
Okay.
go
Cool.
over it for sure. Yeah. Yeah, not a problem. Did anyone else have any questions on the lessons of YAML or of I don't know, Ansible or the inventory section?
So,
I'm just
so
interested in watching you guys troubleshoot that. So here, there, wherever you guys go, let me know.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we can do it in the master room if you're okay with that. If not, we can do it privately. It's up to you.
Yeah,
uh,
I'm fine with that. No big deal.
Okay.
yeah, Reno, is there like, can you give me an example of a use for Ansible in your private life without outside of a corporation? Do people use this and how do they use it? What is the scenario in which
Well,
they use
I
it?
mean my private life, I don't I don't program. I snowboard
No, no,
and
I'm talking like outside of a corporation kind of thing.
what do you mean by outside of a corporation? Because I mean I work for two corporations, so I mean can you elaborate?
So if you're just doing like development, like a personal project, you wouldn't use this stuff, right?
Not unless your personal project is pretty massive. I
Okay.
mean, unless you just want like hands-on experience, like it's always good to be able to talk about an extra skill. Like especially like put it on like a resume. Like say you had like two instances, you separated out like a web server, or like let's just say three. Like just in this example, right? You have a master node and you have a database server and you have a like a web server, right? And use Ansible to do, to control both of those servers. That would be one thing, right? Is it the best option? It's up to you to call that. But it's mostly for when you have a plethora of servers that you need to manage that makes it easier, like at a larger scale. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be using it at a lower scale as well. It's a great experience and be able to talk about it on a resume or in a
Okay.
job interview. But I think exactly what I did was a good way of setting it up. But you'll get more into the actual use of Ansible next lesson or this upcoming Thursday with the playbook, and you'll actually be installing stuff on the host and putting stuff on the host and all that stuff. So this inventory portion right now isn't really that's not where we do that. We just set up the hierarchy and list out all the hosts that are going to be within that hierarchy. So we're just getting started into Ansible. I think we might even do another week on Ansible. I'm not sure. I think last cohort we did 2 weeks, but I think this one might have changed. Yeah. Any other questions on Ansible or YAML? I know we didn't really get to use YAML, but you'll be diving more into it next lesson and actually be getting some hands-on practice with it. But yeah, this is more about the Ansible inventory. It's today's breakdown. Cool. Yeah. With that, I'll stop this.